Welcome, awakened ones. I'm joined by Naveen Light today. Thanks, Naveen. Naveen is an energetic pioneer. Oh, I just love that term. I'll ask you more about that later. And founder of the new and extremely potent frequencies called Koki Zen. Koki Zen offers rapid inner transformation to those seeking more peace in their sensitive and empathic bodies. And it's an enormous help to many of today's ultra-psychic, highly aware children who sense energies that adults often can't understand. Naveen has a background in alternative therapies and business ownership. Expanding and trusting her intuition and constantly opening to new dimensions has led her to taking ownership of her abilities to shift energy and bring brighter futures to those who are called to Koki Zen. Following her guidance to go online, despite her limited technical understanding, has resulted in Koki Zen reaching 5 countries and helped bring more calm and more self-awareness to many families. Her work has also resulted in stay-at-home mothers building great businesses for themselves because, as we all know, it's much easier when their children are happy. Thanks so much, Naveen. I'd love to start with you painting a picture for us of the type of families you help, the mums, the children. Who are they?
Yeah, thanks, Jo. So a lot of mums are looking for ways to help their kids to feel calm. So a lot of these kids are displaying behaviours that are really worrying for their mums. And the mums just want something that's going to work, and they've tried many things and many things work, but they just sense there's something more for them. So they're worried about bullying or bedwetting. A lot of people are really worried about sleep. The children are just not sleeping well, and they seem to have a lot of anxiety, separation issues. And so mum is just struggling and feeling very stressed on behalf of the child, but also because she feels so helpless as to how to support her child. She really loves her child so much, but it drives her crazy sometimes. And she's quite aware of other energies, like she's open to alternative methods. And so she starts to look, so what else is there that could possibly help my child?
Yeah. So do you work directly with the children, or is it the mothers?
So I work with the mothers. So I teach the mothers, I give the mothers this energy, and so that takes a little while they have to receive the energy in their body first, and their body has to be prepared to receive the energy so that they can then transfer this energy to their children. And it's very, very quick. Like literally, I've got mums who tell me that 30 seconds is enough, and the child knows when it's enough. And with older children who can articulate, with the mothers who've shown me, because no one can really explain what Koki Zen is, the mothers say, my child asks for it. And when I ask my child why and what it feels like, they say, look, it feels nice. It feels nice. So it's an intuitive thing for the children. They don't know why they like it. They just know they like it. And that makes mum happy because the child is feeling settled. And depending on the age of the child, the results, like tangible results, are just so encouraging for the mum. A lot of the mums get feedback from the school teacher who says, whatever you're doing differently, keep doing it. Why? Because he's more settled, he's getting medals at school, he's up and saying show and tell, whereas before he used to scream in the corner and not want to cooperate. So yeah.
So you're working with the mums and seeing the changes in the children, but how about changes in the mums?
So my course is all online because I I don't work one-on-one anymore, except for people in my advanced group. So I needed to know how to get this energy to the mums easily that worked for her, because she's busy. She doesn't have time to come to a course, 2 hours a week at this time or whatever. So the online course can be taken, it takes not more than a half an hour a week for, I think it's about 3 weeks. She watches 4 videos. Some of those videos are less than 10 minutes long. There is some written material if she would like to read it, but she doesn't have to, because it's all about the energy, and it's me in a video sending her the energy. And then after 4 of those videos, I give them what we call a Koki Zen connection, where they've got it in their body and they can now go and use it. So it's extremely quick, but it's extremely powerful.
Do you need to know the specific challenges that the mum has with the child, or?
Not at all. So what happens is it's actually a transformative process. So most mums tell me that while they come because they want to support their child, because they think the child has the problem, generally by the second video, they all realize, oh, I feel different. I feel calmer. Wow, okay, hadn't expected that. So they realize pretty quickly that this Koki Zen seems to be about them feeling better about themselves so that they can handle their children more easily. A great example I got was a mother in Germany who is a very gentle, passive person who had a 6-year-old daughter who was screaming and carrying on and having tantrums. And of course, this caused her massive internal stress. She's not an outwardly screaming, raging woman. So for her, it was massive anxiety. Oh, how can I help my child? I don't know what to do with her. It's very upsetting, but I don't want to tell her off. How do I cope? And she told me the interesting thing that I have learned, that I got Koki Zen to help my 6-year-old daughter. I've noticed within the first 2 weeks that I don't react to her tantrums. So my daughter had a 30-minute tantrum the other day, and I was okay. I was able to hold space for her. And after that, she said, and her tantrums are getting less and less frequent. And now I think we're about probably 6 months since she first did that 1-month program or course. And she's basically said, tantrums, what tantrums?
Wonderful.
She can't remember what her 6-year-old daughter was like, because she's changed completely.
Fantastic. Mainstream society, and before I came to this type of work, this used to be me as well, but to blame my children for their behaviour rather than look at myself. Do you believe that these kids actually come in, they've been born to certain mums, to offer them up an opportunity to actually have a better life?
So I've got a yes and a no there. Because some children's purpose is simply to bring in new energies for this world. And they are the ones who are really struggling, because they don't understand what it is that their body is doing. It's literally soaking up negative, low vibe energies, which includes sadness, discomfort, upset, lack of self-worth, all that. And they are transforming them into higher energies, and their bodies are doing that. And that's why they're struggling and they're sensitive and they don't know what's going on. Some of those children, their mother's job is to just hold space for them and to be aware of this. So a lot of mothers are aware of this. The mothers who are very triggered by their children, yes, it's very much a case of, what is my children showing me? And it can be really hard sometimes. Like right now, I've got someone who's really struggling with her 9-year-old son is extremely aggressive. Like very scary. So, like, they are on spectrum. 2 kids are on the spectrum. So their behavior is possibly a lot more intense than a normal child, whatever that is. But he's quite violent and physically hurting his sister, bashing her against the wall, all these lovely stories. However, as the mum went through the program, she said that she just changed and got more peaceful and felt more loving and began to enjoy her kids instead of trying to stop the fighting all the time. She said a complete change, but then something happened and he's displaying a bit of behavior again. Now, you've got to go into to know the story, because the mum could have said, oh, and suddenly he's back where he was. He's not back where he was. He's displaying anger and aggression again, because mum, thank goodness, has told me the whole story. She said, well, I've just been to the pediatrician and she has made me so angry about what she said about my children. And I had to help the mother, who is quite aware. I said, but do you see what's happened? You're so angry and now you're holding it in and your child is feeling all that anger. Now, you can't always tell that to the mum, but that's quite obviously what was happening. And I've had another, watching the mum, where she was quite aggressive. Her energy was quite aggressive. Now, this is a mum who's outwardly really lovely and sweet and everything's fine and wonderful, like we all put on our faces. But energetically, the energy, she was going through something and the energy was very aggressive. It's like, it's not my fault this is happening to me. And I'm like, okay, I'm listening to the story, but the energy was so aggressive. And I'm like, I wonder if her child is showing her how aggressive she is and what she needs to look at. So what is that aggression? It's not a bad thing. So this child has volunteered to come to this earth as this woman's child, to not to give her a hard time, but to show her what can be changed. So what is this aggression? What is this energy capable of? And very often aggression / anger is actually potency to change. So not to fight. She's in the system. She's not there to fight the system. She's there to help other mothers of autistic children have a different point of view. What if we didn't see our children as having something wrong with them? And I helped her see that her anger towards the pediatrician is not towards the pediatrician. It's the anger in her, the potency in her, that we can change the system. We can, by educating other autistic mums that these kids are here to show us a new way of being, not to be dulled down and made wrong and not fit in. They're here to make us wake up and fit out. We need to fit out for these children, not fit in.
Oh, I love that. Fit out, not fit in. So what brought you to this type of work?
Oh, that's a hard one. It wasn't really a choice. It kind of sort of happened. I've been living my life like many people, doing one thing and another thing, always having this deep yearning. For me, it's not a yearning. I've always had a deep knowing, and this is going to sound weird, a deep knowing that I was here to make a difference. And I didn't know what difference that was, because I'm not someone who gets on their high horse and say, the world must change. I really don't care how the world goes. I don't care. I just care how I feel in my body in this life. I was massively what they now call anxious as a child. I'm massively sensitive, but I didn't know that because when I was a child in the 60s and 70s, we didn't have labels. We were just called, my family doctor told my mum I was highly strung. Now, because we didn't have those labels and there were no sensitive children back there, all that means is that I was just aware of a lot of energies, people's emotions, people's thoughts, but I didn't know what that was. So I made that mine, and I thought there was something wrong with me because inside my body was always shaking. I was always being hyper alert. My spine always buzzed, and my stomach always hurt, always. And I thought that was normal. Everyone gets a sore stomach, right? So it's not until we educate ourselves and realize, well, okay, start with nutrition. Is it this, that, the other? But no, it was like it didn't matter what I ate, didn't matter how much sleep I had and any of that, but if someone was upset or fighting, I would get a stomach ache. So I learned 50 or so years later that I'm highly sensitive. Great. It's not a bad thing. That's what I do. I sense energies. And what I did was find out how can I not feel like this in my body because I felt out of control. So I now understand why I was given this, because I am these children. I am a star child. I am a highly sensitive child. So while I thought this is really strange, I've always been attracted to work with children, and I've always had something to do with children my whole life. I wondered why I was being given children now when my children were in their 30s. I don't have grandchildren. This is a very strange thing. How am I going to reach children? But then I realized the children were speaking to me. Weird. But a live child would begin speaking to me. And I won't go into how that happens. I just have learned to honor. I've just grown my intuition. I've grown my self-awareness, which includes getting to know that my body is the picker-upper of energies, not my mind. So I learned to get my busy, thinking, analytical mind out of the way and trust my body knew what it was doing. And I had to learn to partner with my body and be brave to trust it and do this weird energy work that basically pulled people's future towards them. And in order to make space in their bodies for their future to become reality, they went through a bit of a washing machine cycle. So we have to shake up the body on an energetic level, which can result in all different kinds of things, like from physical pain to headaches to just feeling happy, whatever. So I've got on track a bit.
No, that's fine. So with with you having the belly aches as a child, do you believe that, like, psychosomatic are problems in the body? Where do they begin? Are they just genetic?
Well, I love that question, Jo. The problems in the body, where do they begin? They begin out here. So if you're going to go to a healer, an energy worker, generally that's why I'm a bit different, because I never went to any of these people with a problem. I just went for preventative medicine. I guess, again, my intuition was so strong that I knew that this kind of work worked for me and my body without realizing what I was doing. So I would always get balanced or healed or whatever it was in my energy field, so that I seldom actually got physically ill. So things get out of alignment, out of balance here. And then if we don't take notice of that, which is, I suppose you could call emotional, our emotional body, if we don't deal with our emotions, they keep going until they affect us physically. And then guess what? We're going to have to notice. I was talking to someone today, several years ago. I used to go to I remember this because I used to go to the movies, because you have to walk upstairs to the movies, sit down for 2 hours, get up and walk down the stairs. And I would get up and I'd be crippled. And I'm like, oh, I must be getting old. This must be arthritis, all the normal expectations. I'm older. I've got arthritis. Everyone's going to get sore knees. Must be all the netball I played as a child. And I could really be very uncomfortable walking out of that movie theatre. But I know different. I never look that there's something wrong with me. I go, wow, I'm only whatever I was, late 40s. I cannot be having sore knees for the rest of my life. Hey, knees, get better. What is it I need to be aware of? And without having a tangible, this is what it was about, one bit at a time, as I begin to grow my awareness and get led to different things, I suddenly realized, oh, my knees don't hurt anymore. Funny that. So knees generally represent surrendering to your own power, surrendering to know who you are.
I'm laughing because I recently left a relationship, and I noticed around that time I was having some trouble with my right knee. But the interesting thing was it only bothered me when I seemed to step off to the side, or at the gym do movements where our legs were moving to the side. Whenever I was moving forward, there was no pain in my knee. So I found that really quite interesting that, well, I'm sure it was trying to tell me something.
Yeah, so our bodies have messages for us all the time, but what are they? And do we have to know what they are, or can we simply ask the innate intelligence of our body to heal itself? And all sorts of things can occur from that. We suddenly get led to a book, to a person, to a course, to a conversation, and we don't even realize that what we're going, oh, that sounds interesting. Aha. And suddenly we forget about the knee or the body part, but it's gone. So when we're actually faced with serious illness, it just means that we've ignored something for quite a long time, but it doesn't mean it's too late. You can always begin to make friends with your body and not judge it as being something wrong, but saying, how can I support you to get better? And if you're at a stage where you've got like a chronic illness, it didn't take 6 months to appear. It took years to appear. So can you please not expect it to go away with 3 healing sessions or 1 healing course or 1 energy course? Give your body time. It will more than likely get better in such a shorter time now that you're focusing on it and helping it and supporting it and listening to your body. My body told me to go to yoga, and I'm like, what? I don't like yoga. Oh God, please, not yoga. However, since I moved past my judgments about yoga, I haven't actually stopped. And that was 4 years ago now, because my body knew that yoga would serve me on this journey that I'm now on. Your body is going through so much energy changing, whether you are conscious of it or not, in 2020 and beyond. We don't have a choice anymore. You are going to get energetically up leveled, whether you consciously take part in the process or it pulls you along. Your body will drag you through whatever it needs to drag it through. So you need to support it with breath, movement, time in nature, whatever. Your body is screaming out to be listened to, because it is your partner in these changes within you. Not just your emotions, it's your physical well-being. Everything is connected.
How can we begin doing that? You mentioned earlier that you, in the past, you had been a deep thinker and very analytical, and I certainly resonate with that. So for women who are like that at the moment, how can we get more into our bodies?
Right. So it always starts with a question, a genuine question. Body, help me to know you. And then it comes about trust. Your body, I'm getting all emotional now because body's talking to me. Body, I trust you. We are so used to being in our mind and taking control of our body. I will tell you what to eat. I will go on a diet. I will tell you to run up the stairs because we have to do 20 minutes of stair climbing. Now, what if your body said, today, I just really want to swim. I just want to go for breaststroke. And if you did that, you will probably get so much more fitness than you would have if you forced it through a gym routine. It's about listening to your body and trusting that it knows what you need in your body. And I know that some people, when they've learned to ask their body, and it can be a case of trialing stuff that, you know, you're not comfortable with. Like I knew somebody who said, you know, body, can we maybe, you know, do we need to have this excess weight or can we release it? So number one, we have to learn to release the judgment on our bodies and then go, so what would be, so we don't call it exercise, call it movement. What movement would you enjoy? And your body's like, oh, she's asked me something, yay. And then you start to get, oh. And anyway, somebody sort of said, apparently my body likes punching bags. And she's like started punching bags and she's like, oh, this is fun. So it had nothing to do with the physical fitness that she was actually gaining from it. She was listening that actually her body liked, oh, it was fun. And our bodies want to have fun. They want to feel good. They want to have fun. And guess what? When you're doing that movement and having fun, your body trims up. It gets toned. It gets happy. And it doesn't matter what body shape you have, as long as you ask your body, what would it take to be in the fittest, healthiest condition? And then you trust your body that it will actually, the funny thing when people are on the Koki Zen, they tell me, suddenly my child wanted to eat salad. They've never ate salad in their whole life. But the child is more connected to the body than the adult. So the child trusts his body and suddenly they're making salad. Funny that. And it's not to say that salad is the best thing to have and you should never eat anything else. Sometimes your body needs sugar. Whoa, listen to it. But just make sure it's your body wanting that chocolate and not you. But there's nothing wrong with having chocolate. But that might just need one, it might just be one square instead of the whole block.
Yep.
Yeah, you just start with a question. Body, what would be fun for you today? How can I trust you? How is not a question. Show me what it feels like to trust you. Because a lot of us have learned to not trust our body and to close it down.
Yep, that's certainly
So
me.
so if you're one of those people, gently, gently, gently. So you start with kindness. What does it feel like to be kind to you, body? Because your body will carry whatever emotion you teach it. We can't love our body if we start off hating it. But we can ask, what would it take to know what it feels like to just like you, begin to be grateful for you. And gently, gently, you start to feel better and you start to realize that your body's not your enemy. It's actually your friend and it's actually your partner. And you should learn to listen to the language you speak to your body. Would you say that to your friend?
Good point.
You've got a bit of a pimple on your nose, Joe. I wouldn't say that to you. So why do I say that to myself? Where did this pimple come from? Get it out. Yuck.
I look like the Wicked Witch of the West.
Instead I say, oh, there's a pimple on you there. Oh, what do you need so that, can that go away? Because that's not really natural. It doesn't need to be there. I get really quite horrible cold sores on my nose occasionally. It hasn't happened for years, but it happened the other day. And instead of me going, oh my God, I thought I'd got that out of my system. Oh, it's so ugly and disgusting. I said, oh, interesting. I've got a cold sore on my nose. Better keep it out of the sun. I know it will go. It's just my body changing. I'm getting rid of a virus or whatever it is. I don't go into judgment. I don't go into hiding. I don't excuse myself. It's just a cold sore. It's not the end of the world. And I know from that kind of attitude, I have healed, my body has healed itself from what could have grown into some serious conditions. And I know, yeah.
I find it's a belief, a trust in for me and what I do to keep my body healthy and my mind healthy, it's really based on a belief that it is not a measurable thing to see that I was here or had this physical problem. So I did this and then I could measure it and now it's improved. It's like there isn't a physical problem to start with. It is just a choice to keep my mind and body well. And I will never know if that's beneficial. I just believe that it is.
Yeah. And it is like, if you feel good, it's very unlikely that you'll become unwell. But I don't know what your personal journey is, so who knows? But that's when you sort of go, okay, you know if there's something not quite right. Don't listen to the doctors, but if you feel there's something not quite right, you'll know and you get that checked out. But you've got to learn not to listen to the doctor, but listen to the facts. Okay, looks like you've got okay, I'll take one of the people in one of my programs. She has got an ultrasound of ovarian cysts. You know, they can count them. There was 8 of them and they were this big, etc., etc. So instead of going into a crumbling ball and go, oh my God, I'm going to have a hysterectomy, this is this, she went, hang on, I've learned about my body. I've learned about energy. I can shift this. And so she went. Now she has done a bit of Koki Zen, but she bought my womb healing with Koki Zen, which is 16 minutes that I channeled a whole lot of beautiful masters, and I did it remotely with a group of about 50 women, and I was instructed to literally take their spiritual wombs, because it didn't matter if you had a physical womb or not. With the spiritual wombs, they literally were cleansed, delivered back, and I can tell you the people who have responded to that healing video have all said, wow, wow, wow. I felt my abdomen moving. Like they've got physical sensation in their body. This woman was listening to that video. I don't know. She said she must have listened to about 5 to 10 times over 2 to 3 weeks. She said, I went back to the doctor and he said, oh, those cysts have greatly reduced. So she had a measurable experience of energy healing works for her body. So how good is that?
Yeah, that's brilliant.
Yeah. And a physical thing was somebody who likes to keep healthy natural, but also comes from a medical scientific background. She listened to the womb healing because that sounded good, because she had terrible, terrible period pain. And how crippling is that? Debilitating. How debilitating is that? And she does not like Panadol, but for her period pain, she had something called Endo. Apparently that is a massively, massively strong drug. Like it's addictive because it's so strong. So she's very careful. She said, if I had to have an endo, that means things were really bad. She said, Naveen, I waited for 3 cycles before I reported. I have no pain. It's not lessened. It's no pain.
That's wonderful.
Wow. And for myself, I was beginning to get the old hot flashy thing. And I've just asked my body, what do you require? Listen to your own video, Naveen, silly goose. I listened to that. I can't believe it. You're kidding me. I don't feel hot anymore. What? But I do keep it up maybe once a week or something. Beats hot flashes.
Yeah. I think this is the wonderful thing when we become aware and become open to this sort of work. It's more about trusting our own bodies and noticing what happens in our own bodies inside of us, and us becoming in charge of our bodies rather than asking a doctor or a pharmacist or get something over the counter.
Yeah, and as you know, there's nothing wrong with that. Like if you feel like you need to have a Panadol to get you through the day, don't judge that as a bad thing. That's okay. Sometimes I say, well, I don't anymore. I never did really, but like I would say to my body, oh, look, this is just too intense. Like I got to really, really horribly aching tooth one time. Now, the funny thing was somebody weird like me, like, oh my gosh, I actually think this is something else. But what a funny way of physically giving me a toothache, which was really debilitating. And I'm like, what is that? And even I, who've got really a lot of experience with the weird stuff that can happen, like children talking to me, like, you're kidding, right? But they do. And everything I write down makes so much sense to their parents. And I'm like, okay, where did that come from? But obviously it makes sense to them. And yeah, I got this toothache. And funnily enough, it was a spirit baby. So not a soul who has died. It's actually a soul who is yet to come in. And it was trying to communicate with me. And because I didn't want to have that kind of communication, I rejected it. And so that entity, that being, made me pay attention. And so I looked at, what is this? This is the root cause. Teeth are about foundations, root cause. One thing led to another. Being I knew who it was, oh no. Went to the dentist, told him, look, I just want to check that I don't need a root canal. I don't want to be completely stupid because this is real pain. It's really uncomfortable. Please check if there's anything going on physically. And he just looked at me as if I was a hypochondriac and said, there's nothing wrong with your tooth. And I said, okay, I know it's some kind of spirit. However, I need this pain sorted. So he put some liquid on. So I got rid of that. But the funny thing was that now became the message for this spirit. Anytime that spirit wanted to give me a message, gave me a toothache. And I had to, but by then I could control it. I said, hang on, okay, what? I've got my toothache back. Oh, is that you? Is that you? And it would lessen. And I go, okay, if that's you, I promise I will find a space, sit down and get your message. But can you get rid of this? Because I can't deal with this pain. It went within 30 seconds. Whoa, that's funny.
Yeah. Well, that's a huge personal experience, isn't it? That's
yeah,
amazing.
so, using the body as a receptor for messages, whether they're from you, from your higher self, or from your emotions, or from someone completely different.
Yeah.
So yeah, your body is an amazing, sensitive being that is completely underutilized. And that is something I never had problems with my body. So I was really confused about, what do you mean get connection with your body? For me, it was like, just trust your body is doing all this. And I just closed my eyes and I said, I don't care what I'm doing. Show me what you can do, body. And then, wow, I couldn't believe what was going on.
Yeah.
I was seeing energy and shifting things and moving things and being drawn to people's bodies and being shown stories and symbols, and it was quite incredible.
And was that the beginning of Koki Zen? Do you call that the philosophy?
That was the start of me waking up to what my body was going to be able to do in this world. And then I had to then go and figure out, well, what was this? So I saw clients for 2 years, played with energy, had to learn kind of what I was doing. I cannot explain it, but I had to learn what I was seeing, what I was doing, and what was happening in their life, because they didn't need to be coming back all the time. And so I don't do follow-ups or anything. I don't have time for that. I would just do whatever I did, and it was different for every person. And then they would, what I found was a pattern, that they would see me in 6 months' time and go, hey, you remember that session I had with you? My life's completely changed. What? Say what? And I had to start to realize that something was actually going on. Now, what was that? So that was 2 years of training in what I was doing with energy. And then I started to get this really big awareness, like really uncomfortably big awareness, that something really big was about to happen. And I was like, whoa, what is this? And I never really said anything about it, but within 2 weeks, 3 completely different people who didn't know me from a bar of soap, many of them, they certainly didn't know each other, they all said, there's something going on with you. There's something really big happening. I'm like, what? And somebody just said, she was very psychic and everything, and she said, oh, Naveen, there is a huge amount of energy around your crown chakra. It's about to download. And she said, it's like a Course in Miracles. It's going to reach hundreds of thousands of people, change everything. And yeah, and I was like, get out, stop it. Because I could feel what was going on, and I was like going into a bit of a panic, because I was like, I could feel something was about to happen, but what did that mean? And what will I have to do with it? And so I had to go through my own discomfort. And this was about waking up to my own inner power, which is what I help people to do via my energy work. But I don't do it for them. The energy does it for them. The energy goes into their body and they're like, what is going on? There's no words for what happens. It's an individual process as they create more space in their being. Like, we just leave your mind out of it. The body just goes, oh, thank God I've got this energy. I know what to do with it. Can you just stay out of the way? We are creating magnificence and we are creating magic here. If you can just stop thinking about what's happening, just allow it to happen. So it teaches us to get out of all judgment.
That's interesting. If you can stop thinking about what's happening. Is it the case that people need to be ready to receive?
Yes and no. So you have to be asking a question on some level. A lot of people are asking unconsciously, or they're sensing there's something more for me. There's something more. There can't be just this in the world. What else is there? And then, and this is how it works. This is why it's so hard to market, because everybody who found Koki Zen in the beginning, I asked them, how did you find Koki Zen? And they all said, I don't know. I was just on Facebook and your page popped up and your face popped up, or my friend told me about you. And, you know, I was like, who's your friend? I don't know their friend. Their friend doesn't know me, but that person got them in touch with me somehow. So at that stage, my only job was to be visible. My only job was to get over myself, post a couple of selfies, you know, have a bit of a business page. My Facebook business page is horrible. I really am not good at that stuff, but I kept trusting that this somehow, I don't have to make it happen, but I have to be doing some sort of action. And in the beginning, it was to rock up to yoga. And that owner of that studio saw me for a session, and she sent everybody to see me so that I could learn what I was doing. But then I got quickly led to, you need to go online. And that's when I went, whoa. And that's why you got to learn to move past your resistance. I can't go online. I don't know anything about it.
Truly honour you for every time you say that, you know, what you did. And I think the level of trust you must have had in yourself, and just letting go of control and moving in the direction that you were led to. I get teary when you say that, because that is a very powerful thing for any person to be able to do, to listen and drop control. And
I had enough go. I had enough of myself. You have to wait till you get to a stage in your life when you are so over yourself and not doing what you came here to do, and you don't know what that is. But I'd gone from business to business, to workshop, to the point where my husband, who is not into this stuff at all, he looked at me and said, why aren't you you're spending all this money at all these workshops, and yet when you speak, you know more. than what because he went to a couple of these workshops too, just to see what it was all about. And he said, but you know more than what I heard at the workshop. Why don't you start doing it? I'm like, so it's a bit of self-realization. It's a bit of time to step in the mirror and go, so, you know, how much have I learned from other people, and when is it time for me to share the way that I can share? But it went with a demand, because, you know, I'm supposed to be finished working and having a nice life.
Yeah.
And I got really bored. Like, I've got the life that everybody seems to want to achieve. So that sounded crazy. So why do you want to go back to work? Like, well, because I'm bored, and because people are finally getting something from my work. But I had to honor that as a job and stop giving it away for free.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a big lesson to me, because us spiritual healers, we're so used to giving it away and being helpful with people. But you do learn, everything I resisted is actually true. People will value it more if they pay for it. And also, when I had to learn how powerful Koki Zen is, that honestly, it's very discerning. I cannot give it to certain people. It would be unkind, because they would open up so quickly and it would be too much for them. So I had to learn what this energy was doing before I could say, well, are you sure you want this? Like, people thought I was funny, because I said, yeah, I kind of make it my job to repel people. And they're like, what? No, I don't want to grow a business for growing a business sake. I want to spread Koki Zen. I need funds to make that happen. However, I'm very aware that even though I got told it was for the children, but it had to come through the mother, the initial people who got attracted to it were older women without young children. So I'm like, what's happening? And that was because they needed to be of a certain awareness to understand that there was nothing to understand, that this was simply an energy, and it was very different from things like Reiki, and you had to be ready for what it would bring up, because it was different for everybody. And they needed to go, whoa, what was that? I said, yeah, I don't know. What was that? It's 10 years of growth in 2 months. Can you handle that? So a lot of people are in a rush. Whoa, are you sure? So yes, this will expand your personal growth phenomenally. But for some people, it will be difficult. It will be challenging, just like our kids. We're still going to live. You're going to get through it. But you know what? When you have that growth, your child is going to go, yay, Mom, I love you. Yeah. Because when our children are challenging, it's really hard to love them. And we feel so guilty because we're withholding love. And yet they're making us so angry. And you're in conflict. So with this energy, you begin to feel kinder towards yourself, which breaks down your barriers so that you can, it's like the relationship with your most difficult child totally changes. And I've had 3 people say to me now, Naveen, if Koki Zen has done nothing else for me, I have a bond with my child now that was never there before. Mm-hmm. Like, wow.
I completely understand.
It's feedback like that that keeps me going. I'm literally here as a service. I don't know what it's going to do for you, but if you trust it and if you feel drawn to it, I promise you, you won't regret it. And I've now put it online where you can just start there and have something for the rest of your life, and hopefully make your children's teenage years a lot easier. But if you want to go further, we can go further. So the initial program was very strong, so we found a way to make it gentler.
Okay. So where can our awakened viewers find you? Is it the Koki Zen website? Tell us a little more.
Probably can start there. It does change a lot. Koki Zen changes a lot. I can't keep up. But yeah, start with the 3 W's.kokizen, KOKIZEN.com. And from there, you can have a look at the courses I'm on the Teachable platform where all my courses are. And I've done that so that I don't need to start with a group or anything. And it's simply so that you can see what this energy does for you. You might feel it in your body. You might sense it. You might feel nothing, but you just know that there's something there for you. Start with the initial course, or there's also a little taster. You can try that, and most people know straight away, yep, I'm in. So
wonderful. Great way to make a start and to taste it and see how they feel with it.
Yes, and some people are very sensitive and they go, oh, there's waves all over my body. And other people don't feel anything, but they're like, I feel like I need this for my child. And a lot of the time when you become aware of Koki Zen and you're like, oh, I just don't really know about that, the child starts behaving worse, and you're like, you may not connect up the two. But once Koki Zen comes into your awareness and you notice your child's behavior changing, that could be them asking for it, because their bodies instinctually know that there's something in that energy that soothes them. It feels like a warm blanket. And so that's why I need the mothers to really understand what they're getting into, because this is not Reiki. It's not just 10 minutes and you'll be right. This needs time to build up in their system. They could have a time where they actually get worse because all of this emotion is coming out. Oh, thank God. It's like a detox, an emotional detox. So some kids kind of get a bit rattly and ratty and all this, but maybe, depending what's been going on in their life, they're releasing all the trauma, all the stress for many, many years, and then it begins to settle. And then you begin to notice. But then some children, they just settle straight away. Like some mums tell me their child has had 45 minutes to 1.5 hours to get to sleep at night for 6 months, and now two nights later sleeping through 8 hours. Whoa.
Yeah, pretty brilliant. I do honour you. Thank you so much for talking with me today. But really, thank you for bringing this work to us and not choosing to have a relaxing retirement and not even looking at any of this work. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Jo. It's my pleasure. And the more people that get Koki Zen in the body, the easier it is to spread to others. So they're doing a world service when they choose for them and their families. That's how it works.
Absolutely. Thanks very much, Naveen.
Thanks, Jo. Catch you later.